All right, so get ready because today we are taking a deep dive into Children of the Corn by Stephen King.
Ooh, very creepy.
Yeah, this one is it's going to stay with you, I think, for quite a while.
I think so.
And we're going to, of course, be basing all of this on the excerpts that you sent in.
Right.
So just as a reminder, this story was originally published in 1977,
Okay.
and then later it was included in his collection Night Shift.
Gotcha.
Now, Children of the Corn, it takes place in Gatlin, Nebraska.
Okay.
And basically it follows a couple, Bert and Vicky, who stumble upon this deserted town
Right.
and quickly realize something sinister is afoot.
Yeah, something with corn.
Yeah, there's a lot of corn.
Yes.
So what really gets me right at the beginning, right off the bat, is how King sets this whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he starts with a super ordinary situation, right?
Oh, yeah.
This couple on a road trip.
Uh-huh.
And then, bam, he throws in this huge curveball and everything changes.
Yeah, like you're just driving along and then all of a sudden a kid runs out in front of your car. Right.
Exactly. And, at first you think, oh my gosh, how tragic.
Right.
But then King throws in that detail about the boy's throat being cut.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly it's not just a tragic accident anymore.
It's a whole different ball game now.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what kind of place is this? What's happening here?
Oh, for sure.
So they keep driving, and they finally reach Gatlin, Nebraska.
Mm.
And the more they see, the more unsettling it gets.
Yeah, it's deserted, right? Like nobody's around.
Right, like a ghost town.
Yeah, and it's not even just like empty. It's like things are off.
What do you mean?
Like outdated prices, An abandoned lunchroom, the stoplight isn't working.
It's like time just stopped in this town.
Yeah, exactly.
But then there's the children, right?
Uh-huh.
You can hear them laughing somewhere in the distance.
I don't like that.
No, that's the part that always creeps me out, like kids laughing in a ghost town.
Mm-hmm. Super creepy.
It's such a cool juxtaposition, right? Silence and then the sound of children laughing.
Right, like it's not completely empty, but the life that eyes there, it's warped.
Yeah, definitely.
And then there's this church.
Yeah, the only building in the whole town that looks kept up.
Right, almost like it's sacred or something.
Uh-huh. What do you think that says about this place?
Well, to me, it's like the church has replaced everything else, right? Like the town is centered around it.
It's like a beacon in this weird empty town.
Totally.
And poor Vicky is freaking out, waiting in the car while Bert goes to explore.
I wouldn't want to wait in that car.
Right. And what Bert finds inside is both fascinating and terrifying.
Like what?
Well, he finds a portrait of Christ, but it's made of corn husks.
Oh, that's creepy.
Right. And then the organ is all messed up. The pipes are stuffed with corn husks, too.
Interesting.
And the Bible, he finds the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all altered with sections missing.
Like they took out the parts they didn't like.
Exactly. So it's like this twisted version of religion, right?
Yeah, and there's something about those corn husks, too,
Like it's not just any material, it's corn.
Right, like they're taking something so ordinary and turning it into something, well, almost religious.
Oh, totally.
And then, of course, there's that message on the sermon board, he who walks behind the rose.
It's like King is giving us a little peek at the evil lurking under the surface,
Oh, yeah, it's a warning.
And he's definitely not subtle about it.
No, it's not.
So while Bert is exploring the church, Vicky's back at the car, and she's getting more and more scared.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, and then she finds it in the dead boy's suitcase.
What's that?
The corn husk crucifix.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a symbol, right?
Big time. I mean, the crucifix is usually about sacrifice and redemption and all that.
Right.
But here it's twisted, grotesque even.
It's like it's mocking religion.
Yeah, like it's the opposite of what it should be.
And it makes you realize that these kids, they weren't just playing around.
No.
This is something serious, something dark and ritualistic.
It's like they're playing with fire, but they don't even know it.
Oh, they know it.
Yeah, I know.
King makes it very clear that they know exactly what they're doing.
But you're right, they don't understand the forces they're messing with.
And that's what makes it so terrifying.
Uh-huh.
Like, these kids are just the tip of the iceberg. There's something much bigger and much darker at play here.
For sure. And that's what makes this story so unsettling, Like it takes something familiar, something innocent.
Like children in cornfields.
Right, exactly, and turns it into something sinister and terrifying.
King is a master at that.
Yeah, he really is.
So we leave part one of our deep dive with this image of the corn husk crucifix, right? And it's like a warning, a foreshadowing of the violence that's to come.
Oh, yeah, things are about to get a whole lot worse.
Buckle up, because next time we're going to be talking about the attack.
Can't wait.
And trust me, you're not going to want to miss it.
I bet. That crucifix, it's like the calm before the storm,
Oh, yeah, things are about to get really intense.
Like King just flips a switch and suddenly these kids are a real threat.
Yeah, and the way he describes the attack, it's brutal, like almost animalistic.
Yeah, no guns or anything, just knives and hatchets, like really primitive weapons.
It's like they're connected to the land, like their violence is part of the harvest or something.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Like they're not just kids anymore, they're like instruments of the corn itself.
Totally. And Bert, poor Bert is just running for his life.
But he's not just running from the kids, is he?
No, he's running from this truth that he's uncovered, this whole twisted reality of Gatlin.
And King really captures that feeling of being hunted, that sense of dread.
Especially in the cornfield, like even though it's this wide open space.
It still feels claustrophobic, like the corn itself is closing in on him.
Yeah, and there's that weird detail about him feeling this strange peace, even though he's being chased.
Right. What do you think that's all about?
I don't know, it's like he's being drawn to something.
Yeah.
Like there's this pull towards this darkness.
Yeah, like he's almost seduced by it.
Right, like there's a weird kind of comfort in giving yourself over to something bigger than yourself, even if it's evil.
It's like that saying, right? Better the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Exactly, and then he finds that clearing.
With Vicky.
Yeah, her body, it's not pretty.
And the skeletons, right?
Hmm.
The minister and the police chief.
It's like this graveyard of the town's past, like all those who defied, he who walks behind the rows met the same fate.
It's a powerful image, and it's at this point that King shifts our perspective.
Oh, you mean to the kids?
Yeah, specifically to Isaac, the prophet.
It's like we're forced to see the world through their eyes now.
To try to understand their logic, their belief in this entity.
And Isaac's dream, that's where it gets really messed up.
The age of favor is lowered to 18.
Yeah, talk about arbitrary. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it, just this entity's whim.
It really highlights the danger of this kind of blind faith, you know?
Totally. Like once you're in it, there's no way out. Lowering the age of favor, it's just, I don't know, it's just so messed up.
Yeah, it really drives home that these kids are trapped. There's no escaping this entity's grasp.
But it also makes you wonder about he who walks behind the rows. Like who or what is this thing?
That's the big mystery, isn't it? King never really spells it out for us.
Which makes it even scarier, like our imaginations can run wild.
Right, we fill in the blanks with our own fears.
But there are clues, right? Like things that hint at what this entity might be.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, think about the Bible that Bert finds, the altered Bible.
With all those missing sections.
It's like they've rejected the core message of Christianity, the love and forgiveness.
And replace it with something much harsher.
Right, like an Old Testament God,
Yeah.
one that demands obedience and sacrifice.
And those cornhusk creations, they're pretty telling too.
You mean like the Christ portrait and the crucifix?
Yeah, they're so disturbing
Mm.
because they're both sacred and profane at the same time.
It's like they're trying to merge their old beliefs with this new dark faith.
And the corn itself, it's like it's become their idol, the symbol of this unseen force.
Which is so creepy because corn is such an ordinary thing, you know? It's everywhere.
It's like King is saying that evil can hide in plain sight, that even the most mundane things can be twisted into something terrifying.
Exactly, and that taps into this primal fear we all have, that the natural world can turn against us.
So when we talk about he who walks behind the rows, do you think it's an actual being or is it more symbolic?
I think it can be both. You know, on one hand, it's this terrifying monster that demands blood.
But it's also a representation of something darker within ourselves, right?
Yeah, like our capacity for fanaticism, for blind faith, for doing terrible things in the name of something we believe in.
And that's what makes Children of the Corn so disturbing. It's not just a horror story. It's a reflection of our own potential for darkness.
It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked belief, the things that can happen when we let fear and dogma take control.
And it definitely makes you think twice about those seemingly innocent cornfields.
Yeah, you'll never look at corn the same way again.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Children of the Corn, I want to leave you with this question.
Okay, shoot.
What would you do if you were faced with this kind of unwavering belief? Would you run? Would you fight? Or would you succumb to the whispers in the corn?
That's a tough one. I guess it depends on how much you value your soul.
So we hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Stephen King's Children of the Corn. Remember, sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we create ourselves.